December 3rd, 2018. Tim Allison was supposed to be here for our invocation, but I don't see him. So I'm going to ask Shirley Murdoch to please come forward and offer our invocation. If you would please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our dear Father in heaven, we're gathered together this evening in the capacity of a city council meeting, and we wish to express gratitude unto Thee for independence, but also for the Christmas season, where we can pause in a greater measure to contemplate and rejoice at the birth of Thy Son, the Savior, and we are grateful for Him and all the impact that He has upon our lives for good. We ask blessings this night upon our city councilmen. We are very grateful for them and ask Thee to bless them with guidance and inspiration as they contemplate, study, and enact the varied ordinances and rules and laws. And they are very complex in a city, and we're grateful for independence and the wonderful place that it's here to live. We ask blessings also, Heavenly Father, upon our emergency people, and they're risking their lives each day for us, and also for the hungry and homeless, that we might all rally and make sure that they have what they need to have a happy holiday season. We love Thee and are grateful for all Thou dost for us. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
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 I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Council members Huff.
Here.
Perkins.
Here.
Doherty.
Here.
DeLucy.
Here.
Robertson.
Present.
Van Camp.
Here.
Mayor Ware.
Here.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember DeLucy.
I know that there's two citizens who have signed up to speak on items that are on the consent agenda. I wondered if we could suspend the rules to allow speaking on those two items prior to the vote on those two items.
Okay, there's a motion. To
Second.
suspend the rules. There's a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Council members Huff.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Doherty.
Yes.
DeLucy.
Yes.
Robertson.
Yes.
Van Camp.
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, you're welcome. Why don't we call them up when we get to those items, and rather than calling them up now? We will pull both of those for separate consideration. They are, 18817 and the non-ordinance action item number 1.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so this takes us to the consent agenda. Mayor Pro Tem.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move to approve of the reports and recommendations of the city manager.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any items which pulled for separate consideration?
I would like to
Yes.
pull 1.7 and 1.8, 18.
Okay.
And Madam Mayor,
Uh-huh.
I would like to pull item 4 and item 815 and 817. 813, I'm sorry.
815 and 813.
Correct.
Okay.
814.
814. Okay. Okay. Any others?
Madam Mayor, I did not hear. Are we pulling 18818 and 18817?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Van Camp has pulled those.
Thank you.
Okay. Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll on the consent agenda minus item number 4, resolutions 18813, 18814, 18815, 18817, and 18818.
You got 1.8, because I don't have it.
It's okay.
Council members Huff.
Yes.
Perkins.
Yes.
Doherty.
Yes.
DeLucy.
Yes.
Robertson.
Yes.
Van Camp.
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Lucy Young has requested to speak to council regarding Bill 18817. Would you like to speak before We pull that for separate, it's been pulled for separate consideration? Yes. Yep. Yep. Councilman.
Yes.
817 and 818.
Yes, Madam Mayor. I move to remand to Public Utilities Board, the one on, I got my 1-8 not here. But I would like to give them a chance. It's, I always wanted this to go before the board, but the intent was always to be vetted by them. So I would like to do that. I believe that it's the one on the Independence Power and Light, so that would be 1-7, right?
Okay, 18817 is the conveyance of Blue Valley Independence Power and Light,
Right.
and 818 is the
Yeah,
cash liquidity.
cash reserve.
So you wanna do 'em
And I'd
both.
like that to be delayed indefinitely because of the program coming out that shows where we're coming back up. I mean, our status on, for PORs shows that we may change that at any time, that there may come out a better than very strong even.
Okay.
So that could be vetted till we see what the return on that is from those people.
Okay, so your motion is to remand 18817 to the Public Utility Advisory Board?
Yes.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins, Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Mrs. Young, do you want to speak? Okay. Okay. Okay, and then, Councilman, your motion is to postpone 18818 indefinitely.
Yes.
Is there a second?
You don't want to remand that to the PUAB?
No, the return on it, I want to see what the, our committee that spoke to us last Monday, they have a different program coming out that we may be advanced without it.
Okay.
So I don't want to hinder or do anything yet. It can always be brought back up. And at this point, it seems that we should wait to see and study what the return is from those people.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to postpone 18818 indefinitely. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Motion passes. Councilmember DeLucy, item number 4.
This is regarding a purchase order for water pollution control in the amount of $417,180. And I wonder if we could have a small presentation on it.
Yes, I would ask our Director of Water Pollution Control, Lisa Phelps, to come forward, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So this purchase order is basically the next step in the process of dealing with our incinerator replacement that's been going on since 2016. So just to review, in March of 2016, we had to take our incinerator offline because of changes in air emissions regulations. After that, we asked HDR to perform a study to determine what the best solution was, if it was to rehab the incinerator and put it back in service or come up with a different solution altogether. The result of that study basically was to to take our incinerator out of service for good and to implement a lime stabilization process. The recommendation is a Class A lime stabilization process, and that was taken before the PUAB on September 20th of this year. And then we followed that presentation to PUAB, which they did recommend pursuing the Class A lime stabilization. We brought that to you in a study session on September 24th. And I hope answered all your questions. I'm happy to answer any more you have tonight. And then this is just that next step in the process. So my hope is that your approval of this is that next step in saying, yes, we are going to do this project, and we're going to go ahead and get started on design.
And so this, Lisa, this $417,000. we cannot proceed to lime stabilization without this money being spent, correct?
Correct. We need to, basically every room in the treatment facility will be touched by this process with piping and new equipment being brought in and things like that.
So really, by our approval of this 417,000, we're in essence
Approving
buying
the
into the
project.
whole project of $5 million, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And just for your information, and again to review, that $5 million, this was one of the, it also worked out well that this was the recommendation because we did build $5 million into our current rate structure. So that money was built into our existing rates, so we wouldn't be asking for any increases because of this project.
So we do have the money to pay for this.
We do.
If we don't do this, what can we do?
We can continue as we are, which is hauling our sludge to the landfill. The problem with that is it's not really a sustainable option. We only have contracts in place until January 31st of 2021, and then they're estimating that they're at least going to double the rates we're paying. So our O&M is higher with that option than any of the options that we looked at.
Operation and maintenance?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry. Or we can pick one of the other options. Digestion was a close second, but that's a much higher capital cost. So basically, this was the most cost-effective and best solution that the study showed.
And Madam Mayor, I did attend that PUAB, and I heard all the testimony and of course our study session. And I personally do agree that we need to spend this money, but I just want to make it clear to everybody, if we spend this 417, we are buying into the $5 million project. And I just want to make that clear.
I've got one question, too. So when we had the presentation, we talked about the lime stabilization. You had two options. One would meet the requirements for now, and the other would meet the requirements for the future as well. It would be a larger unit. Is that the one that we're going to go for?
Yes, the staff recommendation is to produce a Class A solid.
Yeah.
And that's just, I mean, it's looking into a crystal ball a little bit, but we all know regulations aren't really loosening up, they're only tightening, so it just gives us the most flexibility in the
Very
future.
good. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes.
I want to commend you for having this done under the other contract during that time span so that we're covered in both ways, which was one of my concerns, and you assured me of those situations. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
move for approval of item 4.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Item number 4 passes. Councilmember Lucy, 18813.
And you know, I'm a lawyer by trade, so lawyers look at language, and 18813 just gave me a little bit of heartburn because it talks about an opioid crisis in Independence, and I think that's too strong. I don't know that we've got a crisis, so I'd like a presentation. I'm thinking maybe that perhaps the best term is concern.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the council, just as a quick refresher, several months ago, we had an individual attorney who's been retained on a statewide basis by a number of jurisdictions, both city and county jurisdictions across the state, really to go after big pharmaceutical related to the nationwide opioid epidemic, and certainly has hurt certain parts of Missouri more disproportionate than others, but I think every city and county has felt the impact to some degree. The language that you're looking at, there was some conversation about whether or not we needed to go through our own procurement process to retain legal counsel. There has been a statewide RFP done on that. That's why we were able to join directly with this particular suit that the other dozen or 2 dozen so cities and counties are on. The language you see is what's been used. I would agree with the councilman that's not necessarily specific to Independence situation. In fact, in visiting with the police chief, I think we've got some other issues that would probably be closer to an epidemic than this specific one, but it's certainly been a problem in our city nevertheless. So I did want to clarify, Councilman DeLucy and I did have a conversation today. Don't mean for this to sound totally hyperbolic. It's really just we were using the boilerplate language that's been used by some of the other jurisdictions when they've enjoined in the lawsuit as well.
So, Mr. City Manager, is there a problem with our amending the resolution? And whenever the word crisis, which is used 4 times in describing us here in Independence, could we use the word concern?
Yeah, we wouldn't have any concern with that as staff.
Yes.
If I may,
Yes.
this is a national pandemic almost opioid. I mean, to think that we can close our eyes and it isn't here. I mean, I'm not opposed to changing the language, but I don't want the language to change our motivation to get this, because this is
Yes,
worldwide. I mean,
the scope of, yeah, the
this is
scope-
number one on the hit list almost.
Yeah, the scope of the lawsuit really is what's been seen as a lack of accountability and doling out these prescriptions. So it is, as the councilman says, nationwide, certainly reached that state.
Thank you.
Madam City Clerk, do we need a motion to change the language? Okay.
I move to amend 18813 and substitute the word concern for crisis in the four paragraphs that it's applicable to.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to amend 18813. Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
No.
Van Camp,
No.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Motion passes.
Yeah.
Councilmember DeLucy, you need a motion for approval?
I move for approval of 18813.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Resolution passes. Councilmember DeLucy, 18815.
815 deals with amending the pay plan for non-represented city employees. I just didn't know anything about it. I wondered if you could tell us about it, please.
Yeah, I will ask our Assistant City Manager, Adam Norris, who oversees the Human Resources function, to come and give you an update.
Sure. These pay plan updates are part of a quarterly update we have to the pay plan that was approved earlier this year. So this, as you'll see, the one in September had a few more positions than this. So we're slowly refining these positions and shaking things out in our organization.
So when it says it's adjusting a base salary of certain employees, that was built into the budget already?
So that probably reflects the judge's compensation and how that works, because it's as noted in the agenda item there.
Councilman, I can speak specifically to that one. We brought to our attention by Judge Helm and Judge Watkins some of the ways that their hours were being recorded for after-hours night court and things of that nature was having an impact on their years of service credit for the statewide employee retirement system, loggers, more commonly known as. We did the fiscal impact on this. It's of no fiscal impact to the city, but does provide some better credit for actual hours served for the judges when it comes to retirement service credit.
Okay, so it's no more money.
No, correct.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I move approval of 18815.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Resolution passes. Councilman Robertson, 18814.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to amend the resolution on our legislative agenda to include mental health as one of our important legislative agenda items at the state level.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember, what in particular, what type of legislation are you seeking?
We're seeking better funding from the state for a number of things. One of those is inpatient beds. Right now, there are no hospitals in eastern Jackson County that have inpatient facilities for mental health. We are assigned 2 beds down at Truman. 2 beds is not enough. I'm being told that there's at least 20 beds at a time that are being taken at Centerpoint, and they don't even have a psych unit. And so there's not really the facilities, there's not a crisis center. We're just starting down this road, and I've had 1 meeting, but we're going to be having a number of other meetings with several individuals talking about mental health in eastern Jackson County and especially in Independence. It's becoming more and more of a problem, not only for the police, but also, I think, for society in general. And so we need to start looking at how we can address some of the mental health issues in Independence, and it's not an easy issue to address. There's no easy answers. But I think this is a start, and we need to ask the state. We need to ask the state to help. So.
Okay. I would be happy to support that. What I would ask is that you work with John Mayfield to write up what is exactly we're going to, the language that we're going to include in our legislative policy. We've gone, only because we've been through that with our lobbyists and with our legislators, and we just want to make sure that what we're asking for is clear and reasonable. So I'm happy to support including something regarding mental health, but I'd ask that we bring that back for the language back for approval of the council.
I'll be happy to.
Okay, that'd be great. Is there any other discussion? Okay. Will you please call the roll on the amendment to add language regarding mental health funding?
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Motion passes. Councilman Robertson.
I move Resolution 18-814 as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes. Resolution passes. Okay, Mr. White, if you'd like to come forward. Jason White has requested to speak to the council regarding police headquarters.
Hi, my name is Jason White. I live at 1024 South Forest. I'm here to speak on behalf of myself, nobody else this evening. I'm concerned about the proposed movement of the police headquarters to the east side of town, and quite honestly, we've started a train with this evening's hiring of, or presumed hiring of a construction firm, and there's been little to no public conversation. In the past, I've heard conversations about building a substation with maybe moving the municipal court out that side of town. When I realized we were talking about a $37 million building, and that's early stages in shifting the police headquarters, I hadn't heard that. I find it in a PowerPoint from a meeting that you all held, a study session that's not on television or recorded, so it's hard for us, if we can't make it, to know what's going on. I did big up your last citizen survey to see where building a new police headquarters ranked in citizen satisfaction and expectations, and tell you, couldn't find it. Wasn't on there. A lot of issues about police protection, but nothing about we need a new police headquarters. I get it, the building's old, it's got a roof leak, but the proposals, the material that's out there, the RFP and the PowerPoint all talk about hanging onto that building and turning it into a substation. You got to replace the HVAC system and fix the leaks if you're going to keep it. So that argument doesn't really equate to shifting headquarters out there. The biggest concern I've got, now, although I emphasize, I think the jail's an issue, and certainly there's some arguments for what goes into that substation out there, interrogation rooms, but you need to have a conversation with us if you're going to hit us with a $70 million tax issue. I come up with that number because you're talking $37 million to build it, and if you'll dig into the figures you've got out there, one of them goes up to $68 million when you talk about the mortgage payments. It's bonds, I get all that. But you need to have that conversation with us before you put that tax on our backs. I'm extremely opposed to you using a SID for it. SIDs are intended to be Inglewood looking for new light fixtures and park benches and stuff. $37 million construction and the added mortgage cost, and we don't get a vote on it if you do it through a SID. That's not the intent of the SID legislation. I didn't talk to him ahead of time, but I challenge you to call Ira up here to see whether he thinks that's what SIDs are intended to do, because it's a state law that you're manipulating here. And when I say manipulating, I'm doing that very knowingly, because I looked at the gerrymandered district, and that is the classic definition of gerrymandering. So we take from 24 and 291, we're up on 24 highway to catch all the quick trips, and we come down 291, we catch 2 grocery stores. So you're going to put a 1% tax on my eggs and my hamburger and my milk? and you just gave me a 2% cut in my electric rates, that doesn't balance out, and I get no vote on it. And then we run down 23rd Street, both east and west, and then we run down Lee Summit down to I-70 so we can, gerrymandering. It's inappropriate, it's manipulative, and you're doing it to avoid a vote of the public for a $70 million tax issue. I think it's wrong, and I think you've already squandered a lot of public capital because you wasted your time on the use tax. You didn't explain it well, and you didn't tag it. We could have had 10 more cops in the streets, but we failed at that effort, and now we're coming back with an effort that has no public input, and the funding mechanism doesn't come before the public. A couple of recommendations. When you have Mr. Dunn, J.E. Dunn firm come in, have them do some forums, have them bring to the public what is the need for the new police substation, or maybe there is logic to move it out there. But discuss it with us before you put the tax on us. Incorporate that with the higher priority of police officers. Maybe you've got a police oversight committee, form another committee like you did in 2010, but say to the community, because that's what the community asks for if you read your satisfaction survey, and I think if you talk to the citizens out there. So maybe there's a package program here. Maybe we come back with a tax that you can put on the ballot, because people are going to oppose a $70 million tax that you didn't take to the public.
1 minute, Mr. White.
Starting, I'm going to make it under the clock. So starting pretty soon, I'm going to start talking to those businesses because I frequent them. I buy food out there and donuts. Yeah, I buy donuts at Quick Trip. So I'm going to start talking to the proprietors and asking them the logic for them to sign off on a SID that lets you put up to a 1% tax to pay for a police station that benefits the whole city. There is no logic. I'm going to ask them for the logic of them putting an extra 1% on the burden of the people coming into their store when the other places in town have no tax burden because you've gerrymandered a SID to try to manipulate this. There may be a need. Look at that need, talk to us, incorporate it with the broader need of police officers, and let's come up with a better funding mechanism. Did I do it? Thank you very much.
Okay. City Clerk.
City Council action is requested to affirm the recommendation of the Justice Center Selection Committee to partner with the team led by J.E. Dunn Development for services related to the development of a Justice Center.
Okay. I want to say something right off the bat because I know that this has been a concern in the presentations and discussions we've had with this council, the presentations and the discussions that we've had with the Downtown Coordinating Committee that met for a year, and this was discussed in those meetings as well. I would say this goes back to a tax that was put before the people in 2012 to fund more personnel for our police department, which failed. A discussion that happened in relationship to the Centerpoint TIF about acquiring property for additional facilities out in the eastern part of town. I think one of the reasons why the tax in 2012 failed is because people were concerned that the police station was going to be moved. What is before us tonight is in no way moving our police headquarters. This is, we just had a tour of the police station. Our development team was on that tour. And you know, we saw the benefits and deficiencies of having that police station here where it is. So I want that to be very clear. In the presentation, the tour and the discussion that we just had before this council meeting, which by the way was an open meeting, just in case anybody wanted to question that, that was a public meeting. The end of that discussion was, this is an opportunity for exploration, and at the end of this process, we'll have a go or no go vote. We'll decide, are we going to go forward with this or are we not? we don't have enough room there for what we want to accomplish for the community. I mean, I think that's evident. So part of this discussion will be what functions make sense to keep and consolidate here on Memorial Drive, and what functions make sense to potentially talk about relocating someplace else. This is a plan about growth. We have outgrown our facilities from 1972, and we need to grow more. We need more police officers, we need more civilian personnel, we need better efficiency. We've got facilities kind of spread all over town, trying to accomplish one thing, and that's make our city safer. So I want that to be eminently clear before we move forward with further discussion and the vote. This is not an attempt to move the police away from where they currently are. But we have needs that are not being met with our current facilities. With that, I will open it up to other comments and questions from the council. Yes.
Madam Mayor, one thing I would like, I really like the idea of public forums. I think I think everybody should take a tour like we just took of that police building. It's how old? 50 years old? I mean, it's
46. Yeah, 1972.
46
Same year I
years
was
old.
born.
Yeah.
And I know that, you know, I'm used to old stuff, but I don't sleep on a metal bed and with sharp objects locked up with a stranger. I mean, there are really major safety issues there, which I do appreciate. I really do. I'm not saying it should be a country club because it's jail. It's a detention area. But we have an obligation to make it safe. Beyond making it safe, we have an obligation to our officers to make it decent. There are so many leaks in those roofs. It's unbelievable. And so I would like to expand. I like the public forum idea. Another question I would like addressed by J.E. Dunn, because I think they are the best people to help us in this journey. We're going to keep that building. I know that, because we need that building. We need a police presence, no offense, John, in the 1st District. It's very, very important.
I'm not arguing.
Okay, well, I didn't want you to take insult or anything.
No.
Okay. So how much money, number one, what do we need to do to that building to make it habitable and safe? And number two, what's it going to cost? And number three, why is it rocket science to not make a roof leak? I don't get that. It shouldn't be rocket science. It's got to be simple. And if it's not simple, why not? And let's find out what the problems are with that building. Once we find out the problems, what is it going to cost to fix those problems? Because we're going to keep that building. And number three, let's say, Mayor, we do want to move certain functions out of that building to another spot. Okay? Where should the other spot be? And what functions are we talking about moving? And what do we need in the new place? I don't even know that. So this is the first step. I'm real excited about J.E. Dunn. I like the partnership idea. I just think, I don't want people to think I'm buying into, yeah, let's build a new building, because by golly, everybody knows I am the cheapest person in the world, and you have to convince me to spend the money. So that's how I feel.
Is Morris here? I can't see around the corner. Mr. City Manager, and he's really the expert, but you know, we've been chasing water through this building forever. I mean, since the day it was built, practically. Maybe we just had a little bit of a presentation on that. I know it's a constant challenge. It became a challenge even as recently as this weekend. I mean, maybe you can just talk a little bit briefly about what measures have been taken, or Chief Halsey, and why we can't seem to solve this water problem.
Yeah, I'll ask Chief Halsey to come up. He's had a lot of experience with the different facilities, but as he's coming up, I will tell you that it's both a challenge with the roof, you know, certainly a re-roofing needs to occur, but also there's infiltration coming from all around the building as well, too. So I'll let the chief speak to that.
Yeah,
Yes. Good evening, Chief Halsey. Yes, in the past several years, there's been certain measures that have been taken to try to stop. It has slowed down, but then, like this past weekend, we have new areas of the building that are experiencing water that we haven't had before. They did put a drainage ditch in front of the building that runs to the southeast to divert that water off there. We hired a company, and the name of the company dismisses me right now, but to coat the entire veranda area because there's a lot of cracks in that. They did coat that. We've had them out several times to do some warranty work on that issue as well. The front doors, if there is a west wind with rain, it comes right through. They try to build that up to where it sloped it off away from the building. There's been a lot of different theories of what the issue is. Some will say it's a membrane that goes across the entire floor of the building, that it's failed. I don't know how you would fix that, not an engineer. There's been discussion about even building the building out to keep water from coming in. That discussion was back in 2014. So, yeah, we've done about everything. We've hired the experts to come in, but yet we still have issues with water coming into the building.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Yes.
Madam Mayor, thank you. I know I'm supporting of the crime lab. I think that's good. It'd be something to help us out here. Also supportive of getting some courtrooms out here, but the crime lab has been vetoed twice by the governor, and one of the reasons that they couldn't come up with where they were going to put it. But you know, one of the things I'd like to see is a feasibility study. We've got a place that they said would work, and that was the old hospital there on Truman Road in the 1st District, which would be a perfect place for a substation, additional facilities. Possibly the owner of that would rehab it and lease it to us or something like that. I'd like to see some kind of a cost feasibility study. That could be tremendously cheaper than building a new building. It's got a big parking garage. The place is rock solid. It had a hospital in it. So the crime lab people said that would work. So I'd really like to see some more information on that before we commit to building a brand new building out east. So that's my comments on that.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you. Representing the 1st District, which housed City Hall and our police building, going back from the time that I was on the council the first time, that police building has housed many different departments. It's been used for the health department. I believe our IT people are still there now. We have outgrown it, even though I don't feel 46 is old, but that building sure feels old over there. Thank you for the tour, Chief. I appreciate that. Kind of give a fresh perspective of that. Public scrutiny is something that we need to take a look at. We need to have our public input, and I agree with you, Mr. White, that we need to have public input on this. We have a chance to move this city forward in a way that could be transforming this city. We've kicked cans down the street long enough. We have a chance here for a possible crime lab, a new justice system. I heard with Chief talking about how unsafe it is moving our inmates from holding facility to court, them bypassing regular people coming in and doing business, the unsafe conditions there. We're just outdated and outmoded here. So this is an excellent opportunity to do something city councils have not done in the past, and that's to look into the future to see what we can do. We can have 30 officers start tomorrow and don't have a place for them. We don't have a place for them to locker properly, to do their detective work, to have the support staff. There takes more, as more police officers you have on the field, you have the support staff in the office doing the work. I mean, it's a one and a two thing here. We don't have that. Here's an opportunity. Regarding the SID, the SID is a tool that is legally given to us by state statute. So we are not doing anything that is not incorrect here. This is a tool and a toolbox that we are using. And I think we need to put all tools on the table to take a look at the tools on the bench to see what we can do. So with that, and the concerns that I've heard, I would like to move to amend the non-ordinance as follows. Require J.E. Dunn to reaffirm the findings and recommendations of the February 28th Hayfor Waysaki study to ensure appropriate course of action and continue the use of the existing police headquarters. Require J.E. Dunn to host 4 input sessions, 1 from each of the 4 city council districts, to garner public feedback about facility expansion and accommodate police growth in the future. And 3, require J.E. Dunn to review all financial options and make recommendations in an aid in securing what is most appropriate in financing options or options.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Mayor Ware, I will be abstaining from tonight's vote out of an abundance of caution, as I believe I may, and that's just tonight's vote, and I got to vet this, may have a potential conflict of interest associated with the action item.
Okay, thank you. There is a, yes, I'm sorry.
I do have a question.
Yes.
Mr. Perkins, was that the financing, I mean, are you looking at the existing building to fix it and the funding for that too?
Yeah.
Okay,
Since we're asking J.E. Dunn to do this, I'm asking you to do a little bit more, so thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager, for directing them to do so.
Okay.
To look at all the options, what we can do with that building, and input there. I mean, that would be part of the input. I'm imagining the district meetings that we would have would be part of the component too, to see what.
I just want to be clear. Thank
Sure.
you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay, yes, Councilman?
So would that, Councilman Perkins, would that also include a feasibility study to see if we could reuse an existing building rather than build a new one?
For the crime lab?
Yeah. For the
No,
expansion.
this doesn't have anything to do with the crime lab. This is for police building only. I think we're on a good track with the regional crime lab now. The mayor has done great work with getting signatures from the surrounding mayor, the prosecutors. I think you've delivered them to Jeff City. I think we're on a great track with our legislative team down there and our team that's doing great work down there on that.
So basically, what I'm saying is to, rather than relocate or close the main police station, see if we could reuse the hospital building as part of it, rather than build a new building.
For the crime lab.
Or the expansion. We're doing 2 different buildings here?
We're looking at the police building. That's what we're looking at here.
Okay.
We're not having any discussion on the crime lab.
Okay, so where's the crime lab?
Well, hopefully that's going to be part of the whole justice system, the justice center that you proposed and
Yes.
pushed very hard for out there by our communication district,
Okay.
which I find very interesting that you're now not supportive of this, since in 2 years you have pushed for this all the way.
You've misunderstood. I
forward.
am supportive. I'm just saying there's
Okay.
a building that could be reused, possibly. I was told the building has been okayed to be
Sure.
reused, which could be cheaper than the new one. Oh, we still need it, definitely. I support 100%. That's a good place. But do we build a new building, or do we put it in one that's already up and would take a little to fix it up to move in?
So just to recall the discussion from 2014 about the crime lab, there was a consideration that the crime lab facility, since our crime lab at IPD was no longer going to be functioning, was bringing temporary regional crime lab facilities to either what is now the Independence School District headquarters, the former Independence Regional Hospital, and some lab space. Since it was built as a hospital, it has the proper construction to accommodate that, to mitigate the vibrations and all of that, or to utilize the small crime lab that we would be vacating at IPD. But that was only for crime lab facilities. I mean, that did not contemplate any other police functions. So I think we're comparing apples to oranges. If we're looking at that, that may still be a viable option for the crime lab, which is in some senses included in the grand plan of a justice center, but is very much dependent upon if the state decides to go that direction and funds it. So it's a little bit of a +1, I would say. But there has never been any discussion about the Independence Regional Hospital functioning as additional police services. There's certainly been no discussion about court or detention or any of those things that we're talking about. So, I'm certainly willing to consider how to continue to build out and use out that space that the school district owns, but I feel like, we're heading down a totally different pathway, and I don't know that we can, I would be comfortable asking this development team, who we've engaged for this particular purpose, to take that on as well. We could explore that option, but I think that would require an additional process, an RFP, to look at the feasibility of that. It's likely, if we were to be awarded the crime lab, it all depends on when and if that happens. We may have to find temporary space, and that has always been an option and a consideration, but it was never contemplated as a permanent space, and it certainly wasn't contemplated for any other public safety functions.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would suggest, since my amendment's been seconded, that we move to vote for that.
Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll? Does everybody understand the motion? Would you like just to repeat your points, Councilman?
That'd be great.
Yes, I would love to do that.
Thank you.
This is a motion move to amend the non-ordinance as follows. Require J.E. Dunn to reaffirm the findings and recommendations the February 2018 Hay 4-Way Saki study to ensure appropriate course of action and continued use of existing police headquarters. Require J.E. Dunn to host 4 public input sessions, 1 in each of the 4 city council districts, to garner public feedback about facility expansion and accommodate police growth. And 3, require J.E. Dunn to review all financing options and make recommendations and aid in securing most appropriate financing options and/or options.
Okay. Now will you please call the roll?
This is on the motion to amend. Council members Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Doherty?
Yes.
DeLucy?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Van Camp?
Abstain.
Mayor Ware?
Yes, motion passes. Is there any further discussion on item number 1? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Council members Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Doherty?
No.
DeLucy?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Van Camp?
Abstain.
Mayor Ware?
Yes. Item passes. This takes us to our second readings.
These next bills will receive their second reading and be considered by the council. Bill number 18-110, an ordinance finding, determining, and declaring the necessity of acquiring general utility easements for the 10520 U.S. Highway 40 Drainage Improvement Project, authorizing the negotiation and eminent domain proceedings if necessary, approving the plans and specifications for the project, authorizing the use of experts as needed, authorizing and directing the execution of documents and the payment of funds to property owners or others holding property rights in conjunction with the project. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Doherty?
Yes.
DeLucy?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Van Camp?
Yes.
Mayor Ware?
Yes, ordinance passes.
Bill number 18-111, an ordinance amending Article 9 Swimming Pool Code of Chapter 4 of the Independent City Code and adopting the 2018 edition of the International Building Code and 2018 edition of the International Residential Code and making the necessary revisions. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins? Doherty?
Yes.
DeLucy?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Van Camp?
Yes.
Mayor Ware?
Yes, ordinance passes.
Bill number 18-112, an ordinance amending Article 5 Building Code of Chapter 4 of the Independent City Code and adopting the 2018 edition of the International Building Code and making other necessary revisions. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Doherty?
Yes.
DeLucy?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Van Camp?
Yes.
Mayor Ware?
Yes, ordinance passes.
Bill number 18-113, an ordinance amending Article 12 Existing Building Code of Chapter 4 of the Independent City Code and adopting the 2018 edition of the International Existing Building Code and making other necessary revisions. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes, ordinance passes.
Bill number 18-114, an ordinance amending Chapter 9 Fire Code of the Independent City Code and adopting the 2018 edition of the International Fire Code and removing the 2012 edition of the Life Safety Code and making other necessary revisions. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes, ordinance passes.
Bill number 18-115, an ordinance amending Article 14 Fuel Gas Code of Chapter 4 of the Independent City Code and adopting the 2018 edition of the International Fuel Gas Code and making other necessary revisions. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes, ordinance passes.
Bill number 18-116, an ordinance amending Article 6 Mechanical Code of Chapter 4 of the Independent City Code and adopting the 2018 edition of the International Mechanical Code and making other necessary revisions. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes, ordinance passes.
Bill number 18-117, an ordinance amending Article 4 Plumbing Code of Chapter 4 of the Independent City Code and adopting the 2018 edition of the International Plumbing Code and making other necessary revisions. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Doherty,
Yes.
DeLucy,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Van Camp,
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes, ordinance passes.
Bill number 18-118, an ordinance amending Article 13 Residential Code of Chapter 4 of the Independent City Code and adopting the 2018 edition of the International Residential Code and making other necessary revisions. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill?
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Call the roll.
Sorry. Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Doherty?
Yes.
DeLucy?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Van Camp?
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes, ordinance passes.
Bill number 18-119, an ordinance adding Article 20 fireworks to Chapter 5 of the Independent City Code and making other necessary revisions. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Doherty?
Yes.
DeLucy?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Van Camp?
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes, ordinance passes.
Bill number 18-120, an ordinance declaring the vacant lots at 17101 East Truman Road and 525 South Pleasant Street as surplus property and authorizing the disposition of said property in accordance with Chapter 20 of the City Code. Second and final reading.
Is there any discussion on this bill? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Councilmembers Huff?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
Doherty?
Yes.
DeLucy?
Yes.
Robertson?
Yes.
Van Camp?
Yes.
Mayor Ware.
Yes, ordinance passes. Okay, this concludes our second readings, brings that we have one first reading this evening.
This bill received their first reading tonight and their second reading on December 17th council meeting. Bill number 18-121, an ordinance approving a special use permit to operate a body art service at 10418 East Truman Road in Independence, Jackson County, Missouri.
Okay, this takes us to council member comments. I'll start with the happy elf to my right. Councilman.
I don't have anything this evening.
Hi, I got all dressed up. There's nothing. Councilman Perkins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple things. It was really nice to, I wasn't there for the tree lighting ceremony, but I was there for the living windows. That was really neat, even though it was a little chilly, but in the fog. But I think it kind of gave it a little ambiance there with the fog and stuff. It was really neat. Fairmont neighborhood Christmas party was last Saturday due to the rain. We moved it into the Blindwell Cafe. It was a little loud with some of the kids and craziness there, but it was fun. It was just a fun-filled weekend. It was fun to be a part of what was happening for the holidays.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. The living windows would neat. We've got a lot of nice stuff coming up on the square this holiday season, more than we've ever had. So get out and find one and enjoy it.
Very good. Councilmember DeLucy.
Nothing, thank you.
Councilman Robertson.
Just wanted to thank the mayor for the mayor's Christmas concert on Sunday. I was there. It was a wonderful event. 1,800 fourth graders from the Independence School District, and a lot of their family was there. They had several great choirs, and I wanted to mention, I had a little conversation beforehand with Dick Wilson, who was the MC. He was introduced, but he wasn't noted as the original MC, and I think he has MC'd it every year since it started with Mayor Potts. And so I wanted to publicly thank Dick Wilson for that public service, because I think he does it as a volunteer, and it's just a wonderful job.
Very good.
So, thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Councilman?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. We did have a weekend filled with great activities for the holidays, and as Councilman Dory said, a lot more that's ongoing and upcoming, so it's a great time of year to get out and really support our local businesses and enjoy our beautiful neighborhoods and parks that are have a lot going on this season. Mr. City Manager, I know I asked you to give us a report on something tonight, and now I don't remember what it was.
I confess, I looked in my email too before the meeting and couldn't find it.
Okay. We'll report on it next meeting, because I'm sitting here thinking, well, I forgot to start. Do you have anything else this evening?
I just want to reaffirm for the council, this is
I know what it was. It was the grant that we received.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
On the first comment, we will have many milestones and check-ins with the council on this journey on evaluating potential police expansion, facility needs, crime labs, all of that. There's going to be a lot. This is not the final decision. We'll be back as we establish project milestones, project budgets. So you'll see a lot of us on this topic in the next several months. So just want to reaffirm that. And to the mayor's point about exciting grant that we have received, we know that our citizens really value historic preservation in this city. We've seen that through our citizen satisfaction survey, their turnout as we've contemplated reuse of the Pioneer Spring Cabin. We have received a historic preservation grant that's really going to allow us to inventory our assets, put together a comprehensive master plan for those assets, and really help us get a better strategic framework as we look to preserve those treasures and gems in our community for generations to come. So at the completion of this, the council will have a very good inventory of needs, a comprehensive strategic plan about how to move forward on preserving those, and something that will guide our decision making for years to come.
Okay, very good. We're adjourned.